I will have some sympathy for him. Now, he took the job. He shouldn't have took the job to begin with because there was no case there to be made.
But maybe there were people who knew he shouldn't have taken the job, and that's why they wanted him.
Maybe so. But the thing is, he didn't want to testify. Let's face it. He told them in that 9-minute speech that he didn't want to testify, and yet they drug him up. You know, the Nadlers and the Schiffs head, and I said Schiff, drug him up, made him talk yesterday, and basically put him out there for public embarrassment for the Democrats, for him, and everybody else. I mean, that was
the
such a
Nadlers and the Schiff heads.
Oh my goodness! I mean, that was about as bad as it gets.
It was almost. I was waiting for the Admiral Stockdale moment. Who am I? Where am I?
Well,
why am I here?
You know, he had that at one point when they asked him, "And what president appointed you?"
Yeah.
Well, I think it was I think it was H.W. Bush. By my notes, sir, it was Ronald Reagan. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's right. Gee whiz.
That's what was
He missed his
really kind of
Geritol.
sad about it, because like Luann was saying, the Democrats, everything that they touch, they just bulldoze and destroy.
Yeah, well,
I mean, even a good man like Mueller, and I think he's a good man, but then again, I think a good man would have called an end to this a long time ago. So
Yeah.
I don't have any sympathy at all for Robert Mueller in that sense, but I do in the sense that after this hearing, his entire reputation now is crap because he looked like
a doddering fool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, he looked like that. I'm not saying he is, all right, but he looked like a doddering fool.
Well, and he couldn't hear.
Yeah, could you repeat that?
He seemed to have problems seeing. I mean, I can't imagine that the man doesn't have at least some kind of reading glasses, which he did not use yesterday.
He obviously had no concept of what was written in the report because the Democrats would feed him the numbers and where this was in the report, and he'd have to go look at it.
If that was a criminal trial, would that not have been leading the witness?
Oh,
all the way through.
Right, of course it was. I mean, it was totally leading the witnesses or the witness, and he was just. I mean, it was sad really to watch, and I mean, it was sad on the one hand. I felt kind of bad for Mueller, but on the other hand, again, he got himself into this himself, and then he became part of this anti-Trump thing, and okay.
They used
him. And, on one hand, I feel bad for him because he's obviously, not at his peak anymore. But on the other hand, he signed up for it, so that's another thing. And on the other hand, as a Republican or as a conservative anyway, I was like, this is the best you got? I mean, really? We're going to spend 5-6 hours on this? And they were, what was it? It was Hakeem Jeffries yesterday that basically, he just made the case for obstruction. But he made it out of the air. I mean, it was just like, in a mystical world where these Democrats live, that might work. But the rest of us living here in reality, it didn't work. It was just a mess. I mean, and I will say this: that I gotta brag on the Texas boys there in the House of Representatives. They did well yesterday, and
John Ratliff.
Ratliff. Those are some of my favorite clips to get.
I thought Louis was good.
Yes.
I mean, we aired Louis. We didn't get a chance to air Ratcliffe yesterday, but we did get to have Louis on there, and Louis Gohmert was fantastic. And people they stayed on topic. They said their piece, and then of course Nadler, but they like. Stop!
Time's up. He couldn't do that.
Your time is expired. Your time is expired.
Yeah.
That's right. Quit. Stop. Anyway, so
it reminds me of like those scenes from the movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
It's devastating to my case, Your Honor. That was Nadler there the whole time.
Well, that was Nadler, and Schiff wasn't much better in the second session. Yeah. I didn't watch as much of the second session as I probably should have, but because the first session, I was afraid I would have to sit there and watch Robert Mueller pass out in the second session. I didn't know if he could make it.
He came back seeming to be a bit stronger.
Well, he also came back and contradicted himself from the first one.
Absolutely. But then he definitely lost that steam real quick. I think I had told you texted that morning that I thought by afternoon he would be totally doddering.
Yeah, we used.
No, he was there by about 10:15.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we used your text yesterday. We read that on the air. Okay. Other than Mueller, we're going to talk a lot about Mueller, of course, in this first hour. The North Koreans have fired short-range missiles.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they dropped them off in the sea. So I mean, wow. And of course, our people in Washington, either they're super scared now or they're super not. One way or the other. It's just that way. Ilhan Omar has an ethics complaint against her for so many things. And so then we'll have Bob Lawson, the co-author of Socialism Sucks, Two Economists Drink Their Way Through the Unfree World. I know I'm going to like this guy. That'll come up at 9:15 this morning. So.
And the Puerto Rican governor.
Yeah, and the Puerto Rican governor is going to resign, supposedly. I will hold my breath until I see it, but no, I won't. But I think he will finally. Number to call is 866-895-6442 if you'd like to weigh in on the Mueller hearings. We'll do that next.
Need to sell your house? Most agents will put a sign in the ground, post it, and pray. My name is Ryan Smith of the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team and Keller Williams Realty. My business is based on getting top dollar for my clients. I believe in that so much that I will put my money where my mouth is. I will guarantee to sell your house in 90 days or less, or I'll sell it for free. I've developed an exclusive marketing system proven to get you up to 18% more money. If you want to know how I do it, I'll send you a copy of my marketing plan for free. 254-213-5335. Using my system, I recently sold a house for David and Janice in Temple's Bentwood subdivision for more than they even thought their house was worth. My system gets full price offers, multiple offers, and bidding wars. That means you make the most money. Don't take chances with your equity. No obligation. There's no commitments. You're not happy? I'll let you out of the program. There's literally no reason not to call us. 254-213-5335. That's 254-213-5335. We are the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team. Call us today and start packing tomorrow.
Social Security Disability Attorney Ed Laughlin.
Are you disabled and unable to work? Have you been denied your Social Security disability benefits? Well, tell the federal government that you mean business. Call me toll-free at 1-800-492-2589 to schedule an immediate appointment with me in Killeen, Temple, or Waco. I'll appeal your denial and work hard to get you the benefits that you deserve. That's 1-800-492-2589. The phone call is free, and so is the appointment. You'll feel a lot better.
If you're an advertiser, think about this.
Your prospects are bombarded with messages. Some, like TV commercials, can be fun. Some, like pop-ups and spam, are annoying.
And in a crowded media environment, it's important that you stand out.
That's why we seek out great sponsors with products and services that make your life better.
We feature your message in a radio show that's upfront, never background, and we talk about you on air.
It's all about branding and keeping your product top of mind.
So call or email us today.
Be part of the Logic Nation radio family.
I was visiting my 75-year-old aunt the other day when her phone rang.
Hello? It's you again.
She seemed nervous.
Well, I don't think I need any more life insurance.
The caller was doing a great job keeping my aunt on the line.
Okay, so you need my credit card number?
My aunt went to get her purse, so I decided that I would ask a few questions. Well, as soon as I introduced myself, the caller hung up.
Gruff the Crime Dog here. Recognizing the signs of fraud can be difficult for older people. Often they're very trusting and consider it impolite to hang up. The National Crime Prevention Council wants to educate seniors so that these scams can be reported to local law enforcement agencies.
Financial fraud can include identity theft, fake check and wire transfer scams, investment and credit card fraud, and online charitable solicitations. Unfortunately, only 1 in 5 of these crimes are reported. To learn more, go to www.ncpc.org. That's ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the U.S. Department of Justice.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. David C.J. Luhan today. Glad to have you along. Take calls at 866-895-6442. Before we get into the Mueller thing, as I say nearly every day now, it's time to do the stupid news of the day. But the stupid news, I mean, we get so many hits as far as the Facebook page is concerned with the stupid news. So it's like, apparently there's some people out there that like it. Study says that eating ice cream for breakfast may improve your mental performance. Obviously, Bob Mueller did not have his Ben & Jerry's for his Bluebell yesterday morning before he went to the hearing. Japanese website says ice cream is the perfect morning jolt. In the study.
Sold.
Yeah, me too. Brain activity of participants who had ice cream right after waking up with those who did not. Participants who had the ice cream had a faster reaction and less mental irritation. So there you go. Homemade ice cream made from egg yolk, sugar, whole milk, and heavy cream. Conventional ice cream has other ingredients like soybean oil, corn syrup, and pectin, but it's still apparently a good start for you, at least according to this Japanese study. So if you want ice cream for breakfast, help yourself.
Have the Japanese recently bought Ben and Jerry's?
I don't know, but they sure as heck better keep their hands off Bluebell. That's about all we got left.
There you go. There you go.
Now that we lost Whataburger and then we got people licking Bluebell in the stores and putting it back. I mean, what are they coming for next? Shiner? I mean, let's face it.
You know, this is really. I bought some non-Bluebell the other day just because.
What?
I'm still a little weird about it, but I made sure that it's got that. I think what Bluebell needs to do is put that little plastic ring.
Oh, I saw it.
Tamper resistant.
The tamper resistant.
I saw a meme that had the Bluebell, a couple of Bluebell things that had it like they were with the electronic scanner thing on it, like they do with the electronics in the stores, and they go, in Texas we take this seriously, So I thought it was cool. Waco and Woodway police departments are working together on the forklift ATM thefts from Tuesday night. Have you heard this story?
No.
Yeah, Waco police reporting they have recovered the stolen ATM at a wooded creek area off of Texas Central Parkway and Gateway Boulevard. This was reported by a utility worker who discovered the stolen ATM, a stolen backhoe, and a stolen U-Haul in the woods. What happened apparently was this people stole a forklift and also stole a U-Haul van and a backhoe. And they basically went to the First National Bank of Central Texas on Woodway Drive and lifted the dadgum ATM off of its mooring, put it on the trailer, and took off with it. They cracked it open, and as of this point, there's an unknown amount of cash that they stole from the ATM. But, I mean, if you're going to do it, I guess that's the way to do it. But, boy.
In related news, I got some new guns.
This is not news. That is not news. Oh, CJ got new guns. This is
Wait,
news.
They can't account for some money, and CJ got some new guns.
They may come looking for you. I don't know, but yeah. Florida woman was fined $100,000 for a dirty pool and overgrown grass. They could have got me for that a few months ago, actually. She says she owes $92,600 in fines for overgrown vegetation and a stagnant swimming pool at her house she no longer owns. She has to pay in 2 weeks, the letter said, hinting that she could be sued if she didn't. Including interest charges and other fees, the debt swelled to $103,559. That's twice her normal income in a year. I mean,
and what did it start at?
It started at $92,600 in fines.
Wow.
This is in Dunedin. Just outside of Tampa in Florida. That's where the Toronto Blue Jays used to train.
$92,000.
I've been there. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, they got her for violating laws that prohibit grasses taller than 10 inches, recreational vehicles parked on the street at certain hours, siding and bricks that don't match, and bad pools. I think that we've reached a point in our lives that the cities and the counties need to back the hell off. I mean, for that. I mean,
I understand.
It's
I
her
understand
property,
the
but she didn't even live there.
Yeah, well, but I mean, if there may have been neighbors that were very upset about having this eyesore in their neighborhood, and I probably would be one of them that would be there. But $92,000.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That's crazy.
I mean, how long did they let this go on?
Well, they must have let it go on quite a bit.
Well, yeah, and that's shame on, your local officials as well.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean,
you know what? If I'm not going to mow my lawn, I'm not going to pay $92,000 in fines either.
Yeah.
No. I mean, why would you? The thing too is, these neighborhood associations and neighborhood places and stuff like that.
They can get kind of.
It's getting to the
radical.
point of very radical. I mean, you can't fly an American flag in some places in this country because that doesn't match everybody else. Well, screw you. I'm sorry.
Can't help that.
That's about the nicest thing I can say on that. I mean,
I would think twice about buying a home with the homeowners association.
Ooh,
They're
I
some of the
would
most
not.
radical people on legislature day. When they're down there, oh my gosh,
no.
they're crazy.
No, not going to do that. Let's go to the phones. Raymond in Temple's been hanging on patiently. Here, Raymond.
Yes, sir. I've got two brief statements to make. The first one wasn't planned. I heard y'all talking about Bluebell. Who knows? Maybe the left might say that little girl with that cow, she has a leash around him like he's leading a dog down the street. They might even say something about that. Who knows? But the second statement that I have is concerning Mr. Mueller, and very important statement like this. I didn't quite understand what she said. Can you please repeat it what she said? Logic Nation, y'all have a good day.
That's true. That's pretty good. What? That's not in my
Purview.
purview.
Yes,
That's not in my purview.
Not in my purview.
What was it? Nearly 4? Was it 244 times or something like that? And basically, it was no comment, but it wasn't in my purview, or I can't comment on that, or
It's in the report. Is the new
it's in the
no comment.
report. Yeah, it's in the report. Whatever. I mean, gee whiz. All right. CJ put together a 2-minute summary of the Mueller hearing, so let's go with it.
We stated the results of our investigation with precision. We scrutinized every word. The report is my testimony, and I will stay within that text.
The President has repeatedly claimed that your report found there was no obstruction and that it completely and totally exonerated him. But that is not what your report said, is it?
Correct. It is not what the report said. I'm just going to leave it as it appears in the report.
Do you recall that from the report?
That's in the report, yes. I rely on the language of the report.
You didn't include that in the report, and I assume you're saying that would
It's
be
the matter
outside.
being handled by others at the Department of Justice.
Put it in a paper sack, lit it on fire, dropped it on our porch, rang the doorbell, and ran.
I don't think you reviewed a report that is as thorough, as fair, as consistent as the report that we have in front of us.
I'd like to direct you to page 97.
Page 76 of volume 2.
Well, that's the very first word of your report, right?
That's correct.
Volume 1, page 2, Volume 1, page 173.
Thank you. Yes.
Volume 2, page 91. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. What's the citation, sir?
Page 91.
On page 114,
Page 85 of volume 2.
And where are you reading from on that?
I'm reading from my question.
Then could you repeat it?
Okay.
I'd refer you to the coverage of this in the report, write-up of this in the report. We'll send you back to the report.
we don't have the redacted version. That's maybe another reason why we should get that.
That is directly from the report.
It is.
Whatever was said will appear in the report.
It is. Now, you said you chose your words carefully. Are you contradicting your report right now?
Not when I read it.
So you would change your answer to yes then?
No. If you look at the language.
I'm reading your report, sir. It's a yes or no answer.
Page 180.
Page 180, volume 1. Okay. This was from your report.
Correct. And I leave it with the report.
Your report does not recommend impeachment, does it?
I'm not going to talk about recommendations.
It does not conclude that impeachment would be appropriate here, right?
I'm not going to talk about that issue.
That's one of the many things you wouldn't talk about today, but I think we can all draw our own conclusions. I do thank you for your service to the country.
I mean, wow. And that's just a short little compilation. And we did 11 hours? No, not 11 hours.
About six.
6, yeah,
3.5 and another 2.5 or so.
It seemed like 11. I mean, it was a tooth pull.
Well,
I mean, it was
even
bad.
Michael Moore.
Yeah,
his tweet.
Michael Moore's his tweet says, "A frail old man, unable to remember things, stumbling, refusing to answer basic questions. I said it in 2017, and Mueller confirmed it today. All you pundits and moderates and lame Democrats who told the public to put their faith in the esteemed Robert Mueller, just STFU, and if you know what that means, you know what that means, from now on."
And yesterday morning, I saw Mark Levin also had a tweet where he was saying, "Remember, guys, I told you when I saw Mueller speak back in May, I told you he wasn't right."
Oh, he was on Fox and Friends this morning, just before you got here.
Right.
And, I was listening to him, and he was railing because he was like, what a waste. Anyway, you want to talk about it? 866-895-6442. More fallout from yesterday's gripping testimony coming up.
At Logic Nation, our power is in our callers. In fact, Pat's on the phone. Pat, welcome to Logic Nation. What's on your mind today?
I get that you're the Logic Nation, but what about love, peace, and harmony, man? Why don't you ever talk about these issues?
We try to keep our listeners informed about local issues that matter to them, both locally here in the great state of Texas and in our nation.
You talk an awful lot about freedom and constitutional rights, but what about my right to express my emotions like love, peace, and harmony? What about my right to not be offended by what you're saying?
Well, Pat, you've gotten off the Logic train, and now you're boarding the Emotional Express. That's a high-speed rail to nowhere. Here at Logic Nation, irrational emotional instability has no place in logical discussion.
But I need constant reassurance that my emotional stability will be coddled and my opinions force-fed to me.
Listen to Logic Nation Monday through Friday from 8 to 11 a.m., right before Rush, right here on KTEM, where logic is never derailed by emotion.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
For almost 2 centuries, Americans have enjoyed the valuable privileges of freedom. Now, freedom needs each American to dedicate himself to its preservation. We must not allow our liberties to be endangered by neglect of our duties as citizens. During this year of rededication, join with your fellow Americans in reaffirming the principles on which this country is founded and the safeguarding of those principles. Make it your business to see that federal, state, and local governments are conducted honestly. Help to maintain the good morale of your sons and daughters in the armed forces. Learn the facts about all candidates and issues. Then vote for the one you believe in. Make the most of every minute on your job. Produce as much as you can, and thus increase our military and economic strength. Work for better schools and a better community. Guard your American heritage of freedom. It needs you.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. David Hodges with C.J. Grisham. Luann Anderson here today from the Ed Laughlin Attorney at Law Studios. 70 degrees outside. Our number is 866-895-6442 if you'd like to weigh in on the Mueller hearing yesterday. Former Special Counsel Robert Mueller appeared frail during his testimony. Frail is a nice word to use, I guess, at the House Judiciary Committee, sparking speculation from a variety of political sources about his ability. President Barack Obama's former campaign director, David Axelrod, noted on Twitter that Mueller does not appear as sharp as he used to be. But what did I tell you, CJ, yesterday? I really expected I really expected that CNN and MSNBC would say Mueller is sharp as a tack. He's attacking and he's on point. But apparently, even they couldn't cover
They
up.
could even MSNBC. Trump even talked about this in his press gaggle as he was leaving. That even MSNBC and CNN had to admit what a disappointment this thing was.
Well, and Chris Wallace was calling it a disaster. It's been a disaster, and he was saying that at 9:30.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
Mueller's inability to track questions and retrieve facts is noteworthy, according to a Washington Post national security reporter, Greg Miller. His inability to defend the integrity of his investigation and his team might be more troubling. Another Washington Post reporter, Carol Leanin, people who have long admired and known Robert Mueller are concerned about his visible struggle to answer detailed and rapid-fire questions. Reporters on the House floor noted Mueller's demeanor. Mueller having a hard time following questions on first pass. That's according to CNN's Mana Raju.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where the question would be asked, and it was actually even a fairly simple question. I did have trouble following some of the more complex questions as well, but even some of the very simple questions, he would just say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I mean, it's almost like he was in La La Land thinking about, okay, I've only got 2 hours left. Okay, now I've got an hour and 59 minutes left. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, you asked me a question. What was that again?
Well, and every time a new person started talking, it seemed like it took him a period of time to find out. I guess they were all spread out across that room, and perhaps there were 2 tiers of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see him sitting there
Trying to figure out where the voice is coming from.
Right, yeah. Which I really kind of thought somebody would have, at a point, given him a seating chart or something to kind of.
Well, they got names in front of them. I mean,
well, but what they need to do, you can't tell if
see.
someone's just talking into a microphone like this, and you've got 30 people up there. They need to have little lights that are right in front of the podium there, so that when you're talking, you can see the light up.
So we got to make accommodations for 75-year-old ex-special prosecutors.
Well, I would
say,
that's
what you're telling me?
Well, what I would say is that's actually I watch a lot of hearings, and I see that a lot because the legislators, especially for these well-attended hearings that are high profile,
and they're in a big room,
and they're in a big giant room, and you can hear them go, well, we're over here to your left, because it's such a big room.
Yeah, and there was one of the reps yesterday did say something. I'm far right.
Yeah,
and
I heard that.
Yeah,
and it was a far left rep.
Yeah, it was a far left rep that was sitting far right. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, says he does seem to be frail in his grasp of the report that he himself oversaw. Yeah, because he didn't write a bit of it. Let's see, Jeffrey Toomer. Yeah, Jeffrey Toobin on CNN just basically went nuts. He says, gosh, I hope this is part of a strategy.
What an optimist.
Yeah, he was trying. He was trying to help him, but there was no help there. Meanwhile, of course, the president called out the report as fake news. And anyway, here's the president.
Are you concerned you could be indicted out of office? And you were talking so much about WikiLeaks, given Robert Mueller called that problematic.
So WikiLeaks is a hoax just like everything else, and all of those problems having to do with crime were the biggest hoax of all. It was a witch hunt, a total witch hunt. And when you saw Robert Mueller's statement, the earlier statement, and then he did a recap, he did a correction later on in the afternoon, and you know what that correction was, and you still ask the question. You know why? Because you're fake news, and you're one of the most. And let me just tell you, the fact that you even asked that question, you're fake news, because you know what? He totally corrected himself in the afternoon, and you know that just as well as anybody. Not a very dumb and very unfair question, because if you look at his correction, he took that totally out of play. He made his decision based on the facts, not based on some rule. So you shouldn't even ask that question because you know it's a phony. You're untruthful when you ask. You are untruthful. When you ask that question, you're untruthful. And you know who else is untruthful? You know who else is untruthful? His aides. And Weissman was untruthful. And Weissman got caught just like he did with Arthur Anderson, where he lost in the Supreme Court 9-0. His aides were very untruthful. And they put Mueller, not at all. They put Mueller in a very bad position. His aides put him in a very bad position. And if you were ever truthful, you'd be able to write the truth.
And that was Hallie Jackson from NBC News.
Oh man, I mean that was it was brutal. But they asked him basically, the only reason that Mueller didn't suggest charges against you was because the president can't be indicted while he's in office. But Mueller came back in the second round and said, no, that wasn't right.
Right.
Yeah, he misstated that.
And let's also remember, that's a rule. That's not the law.
No,
he can be indicted any day.
Policy guidance.
It's just a policy guidance.
Right. If there's something truly there, I would hope that,
Since when does a government follow its own rules?
Never. 866-895-6442 if you'd like to weigh in and know that there's a lot of Mueller hangover.
Spring has sprung, and it's time for spring cleaning, and your headquarters for that is Smith Supply, located at 5202 Midway Drive in Temple, Texas. They have everything to clean anything, residential or commercial. From inside your house to outside at your pool, Smith Supply can run a complete computerized water analysis for free. Then the experts at Smith Supply can recommend the chemicals that will get your pool looking great for your family and your friends this spring and summer. They can also keep your pool in outstanding condition all season long. Plus, they sell pool equipment. With everything to clean anything, Smith Supply can help your inside cleaning as well. Don't forget, they deliver within 150 miles of Temple and can ship anywhere in Texas. So, get your house and pool in spring cleaning shape and save money on high-quality products. SmithSupply.com or call 254-773-3592. That's 254-773-3592 or online at smithsupply.com. Since 1961, Smith Supply.
Divorce attorney Ed Laughlin. Is your marriage on the rocks? Have you been wanting to get a divorce but just haven't found an attorney that you can afford? Well, your search for an affordable attorney is finally over. I'm attorney Ed Laughlin, and I've been helping Texans get fast, inexpensive, hassle-free divorces for 25 years. I offer reasonable fees and always allow my clients to pay out their fees in payments that they can afford. Call me today at 773-8399 or toll-free 1-800-492-2589 to schedule a free confidential appointment to get started. The first visit is always free.
What are you waiting for? Call Ed Laughlin today at 1-800-492-2589 or visit Ed's website at edlaughlin.com. That's 1-800-492-2589 or online at edlaughlin.com. That's 1-800-492-2589. Let Ed help you with all your legal needs. You'll feel a whole lot better. See Ed's ad in Names and Numbers.
Mike Mueller here to tell you to wrap your head around success and talk straight. Cliches don't solve problems. It's a win-win situation when you hire me to speak to your business. I will cause a paradigm shift in your profitability by showing you visionary ways to circle back and think outside the box. The Moolah Plan is where the rubber meets the road as we ballpark success as a team and go back and sharpen our pencils to right-size your business plan. I'll show you how to manage the optics of changing through creative destruction and downsizing while making customer service our number one priority. Our employees are of utmost importance, so let's square the circle and at the end of the day, take the lipstick off the pig and strategize the perfect storm. Mike Mueller's Moolah Plan, an agent of change. So don't leave any money on the table. Hire me to speak to your business today. Remember, hope is not a strategy.
Collusion is not a specific offense or a term of art in the federal criminal law. Conspiracy is.
Yes.
In the colloquial context, known public context, collusion and conspiracy are essentially synonymous terms, correct?
No.
If no, on page 180 of volume 1 of your report, you wrote, as defined in legal dictionaries, collusion is largely synonymous with conspiracy, as that crime is set forth in the General Federal Conspiracy Statute 18 U.S.C. 371. You said at your May 29th press conference and here today, you choose your words carefully. Are you sitting here today testifying something different than what your report states?
Well, what I'm asking is if you can give me the citation, I can look at the citation and evaluate whether it is.
Okay, let me just be clarified. You stated that you would stay within the report. I just stated your report back to you. And you said that collusion and conspiracy were not synonymous terms. That was your answer was no.
That's correct.
In that, page 180 of volume 1 of your report, it says, as defined in legal dictionaries, collusion is largely synonymous with conspiracy as that crime is set forth in General Conspiracy Statute 18 U.S.C. 371. Now, you said you chose your words carefully. Are you contradicting your report right now?
Not when I read it.
So you would change your answer to yes then?
No. If you look at the language.
I'm reading your report, sir. It's a yes or no answer.
Page 180.
Page 180, volume 1. Okay. This was from your report.
Correct. And I leave it with the report.
So the report says, yes, they are synonymous. Yes. Hopefully, for finally, out of your own report, we can put to bed the collusion and conspiracy.
That's Doug Collins, the high-ranking Republican on that House Judiciary Committee.
And right there.
Could you read it to me again? I need to see it. He didn't write any of this. No, every bit of this whole thing.
And right there, literally right there, that's Bob Mueller saying there was no collusion.
Right.
There was no conspiracy.
Yeah. But that's not enough for the Democrats because we had to come out yesterday and decide that it was, especially the New York Times and the Hollywood left. What am I saying? The Hollywood. I mean, I don't even have to say left, do I? There's a few out there that aren't left.
I think there's more than you think there are, but they can't afford to be open.
Underground. New York Times columnist the aptly named Charles Blow. Yesterday evening, the Democrats are turning President Donald Trump into a folk hero by not even beginning impeachment inquiries. He went nuts on Twitter after this thing was over with. Charles Blow. Democratic leadership says not moving to impeach Trump skirts the problem of revving up his base. Fatal flaw in this logic. Getting away with it, evading capture, actually adds to the legend of folk heroes, and Trump has become one. Not impeaching him is actually what is energizing to his
Getting
base.
away with what?
He didn't get away with anything. He didn't do anything. More Charles Blow. Democrats are basically...
What a great name.
Yeah, well,
he's a blowhard.
As I say, the aptly named Charles Blow.
Just proving there once more there is a God.
Yes. Democrats are basically reading Mueller's quotes from his report and asking, is that correct? You've had this report for 5 months. You already knew it was correct. You already knew he was a criminal. You had done nothing. I'm so frustrated and disappointed. And the final crazy tweet of the frustrated Charles Blow from the New York Times. This hearing is dumb. Trump is a criminal. Every person at the hearing already knows that. Dems think that this hearing is going to convince the public. They should simply have told the public and done their damn job. Instead, they shrugged and fumbled.
Does that have his Twitter? What's his?
At Charles M. Blow. There's more, in fact. To people who have bought into the Dem leadership talking point that more people watch the movie than read the book, so you need this hearing to move the needle, let me say public opinion is not being moved much because Dems have spent 5 months not being empathetic.
I think it's going to be interesting. Yesterday, those hearings were on ABC, CBS, NBC.
Fox, CNN, MSNBC.
As well as the cable nets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And think about while we say there was nothing new there except for Mueller's demeanor in his presentation being the surprise it was, think about if you are a regular viewer of nightly news on the regular broadcast networks, and all of a sudden you start hearing this stuff, Fusion GPS, all these things that the Republicans were saying. You are hearing things you've never heard before.
So was Robert Mueller. Apparently, he didn't know what fusion GPS meant, remember?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
How can you be the lead special prosecutor in this case and not know fusion GPS?
But I wonder if we aren't going to see some changes, that at least there was a seed of doubt planted that hadn't been there before.
Let's hope.
Hope springs eternal, but hope and turn from hope. 866-895-6442. Back in a moment.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me. Get granular. Keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie. This is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Logic Nation. We wrap up hour number 1. Time flies when you're listening to Robert Mueller and the fallout. Why did they even do this? I mean,
they're wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hollywood is demanding impeachment after Mueller testimony. Rob Reiner, meathead from All in the Family, the famed director. When was the last time he had a hit movie? Help me out. Somebody, quick. No. Okay.
I'm looking. I'm thinking.
Been a long time. Been a long time is all I'm saying. But he knows all right? Just like he did when he was telling Archie about everything left. It's imperative Congress must start impeachment inquiries. This president colluded with foreign enemy power to undermine our democracy. First of all, the Mueller report says that didn't happen, Rob. Anyway, then he goes on to say, then Trump obstructed justice to cover that up, period. Speaker Pelosi, with all due respect, no more effing around. Except he didn't say effing. class act he is. John Cusack, the actor, when it came out that Speaker Nancy Pelosi would hold a news conference last evening, he goes, hopefully, to announce impeachment. They didn't watch this, obviously. Nobody watched this, apparently. None of these.
Even Al Green
Mm-hmm.
is kind of.
Yeah, even he's sort of backtracking and going, all right, guys, maybe we should focus on things that are truly important to this country.
Uh-huh. Will and Grace star Deborah Messing, who's
was always a paragon of wisdom.
Yeah, she says 37 indictments, 7 convictions, 127 secret meetings with Russian agents, and so many hours of testimony. It's time for impeachment inquiry now. No, it's not. No, it's not.
And those indictments, I mean, the convictions are just ridiculous.
Tax fraud, it had nothing to do with Trump.
Didn't we just have an impeachment thing?
And it failed.
And it failed?
Yes.
Right.
So what, we could do it again?
Of course. According to Hollywood, do it again. Do it as many times as it. And of course, we already told you that Michael Moore said that Mueller was actually looking frail and not sharp, and the president agreed with him.
But in all fairness to Robert Mueller, he had nothing to work with. You can be a builder, but if they don't give you the right materials, you're not going to build a very good building. Robert Mueller had no material. He had nothing to work with.
This is true. I mean, he had nothing to work with, but why didn't he just shut her down? That's my question.
He did nothing to help this country. He did nothing to help the reputation of our federal law enforcement agencies.
Nope.
He was an aging bureaucrat who made a bunch of our money for what? Being unengaged with this whole effort, and he let his dim squad run wild, squander our money, and
Andrew Weissman.
harm our governmental institutions.
I guarantee you, I agreed with Mark Levin last night. Levin said that Andrew Weissman, not Robert Mueller, should have been testifying before the House committee.
Yeah.
Because this is his report.
Yes.
This is the guy that was at Hillary Clinton's victory party.
And Mueller did call him one of the most talented lawyers on that team.
I know.
And Jim Jordan, when he concluded his, he was talking about what great news it was because, you know what? You didn't come to any conclusions, but that's okay because the good news is we're going to find out, and he's going to investigate Weissman.
That's right. Here he is, Jim Jordan.
The president was falsely accused of conspiracy. The FBI does a 10-month investigation, and James Comey, when we deposed him a year ago, told us at that point they had nothing. You do a 22-month investigation. At the end of that 22 months, you find no conspiracy. And what's the Democrats want to do? They want to keep investigating. They want to keep going. Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started. Maybe it's to go back and actually figure out why Joseph Nipson was lying to the FBI. And here's the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr's doing. And thank goodness for that. That's exactly what the Attorney General and John Durham are doing. They're going to find out why we went through this three-year saga and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, of course, there's Nadler again. The time of the gentleman is up. You're making too many good points. Stop.
I will say Schiff was a little bit better than Nadler at that.
Well, Schiff,
he was a little less heavy on the gavel when people went over a few
We're
seconds.
talking about Cory Booker because he was talking about his testosterone. I got a feeling Nadler's testosterone level is a lot higher than pencil neck Schiff. I'll give him that.
True.
That's one. I don't know if that's a huge compliment. That's putting the bar pretty low, but I still think Nadler's got a little more testosterone in him than Schiff does.
Even though I call him Nadless.
Yeah, well. But yeah, Levin last night said Andrew Weissman, not Robert Mueller, should have been on the hot seat because this is his report. This is his stuff. This is his lawyers. He hired all the other Clinton attorneys. Robert Mueller
wasn't even involved. It sounded like in the hiring.
No, Robert Mueller was a figurehead, and that's all he was, and he proved it yesterday. When we come back, a little more on this, plus about 9:15, 9:17, we'll talk to Bob Lawson, the co-author of Socialism Sucks. I know that'll make some of our trolls out there real happy.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up, just like that.
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food, cha-ching, and $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted, which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. On your Thursday, it's the 25th of July. It's my son's 25th birthday, incidentally. You didn't think I was old enough to have a son that's 25 years old, did you? My baby boy.
Well, I have a 23-year-old, so I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah. Of course, is that your eldest?
That's my first, yeah.
Yeah, my eldest is as old as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. In fact, she may be about to turn 30. So, anyway.
Ooh, breaking news. Nancy Pelosi to speak to reporters as Democrats consider next move after Mueller.
Well, she always has a Thursday press conference.
Yeah.
That's
this one is out on the steps, though.
Fake news.
This one is out on the steps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say, she always has a Thursday press conference, so that may be fake news. Anyway, we are Logic Nation coming at you from the Ed Laughlin Attorney at Law Studios in Temple. 71 degrees outside. Beautiful day so far. 866-895-6442 is our contact number. I'm David Hodges. CJ Grisham's here, as well as Lou Ann Anderson. And we'll go to the phones, first of all, top of the hour. It's Gary from Temple who's been waiting patiently. Hey, Gary. Gary, you there? Oh, man, don't give up on me. One more time.
Gary.
No? Okay. Well, I thought he was still there on hold, so I don't know. Anyway, we'll check into that. As we move on, let us talk just a little bit about the wonderful Democrats that are running for president.
For the little people, there's enough fresh air and sunshine in this great country of ours for everybody. And I'll see to it that you'll get your share.
Beto O'Rourke. This is his quote from what apparently I don't know that he even watched it, because who knows with these hacks that are out there. I know I watched it. I know you watched it. I know you watched it. But these hack politicians, who knows? They probably had staff watching it. And then the staff told them exactly what they wanted to hear about it.
I have to wonder if even Mueller knew that there was a Mueller hearing.
That's true. I don't think he did. I really don't. But now, man, bless his heart. Again, that's just, man. Anyway, so Beto O'Rourke has come out with a statement. This hearing only confirms the facts. Trump invited an attack on our democracy, obstructed the investigation into it, and made clear there won't be consequences for launching another. As I've said since I was running for in Texas, he's unfit for office. Begin impeachment proceedings now. Beto, once you get over 5% in any state that you're running in at this point, other than Texas.
Actually, when you get over 3%,
yeah, maybe.
Call us.
He's running second, though, in the Texas Democratic primary right now, behind Joe Biden, just ahead of Elizabeth Warren. But,
well, I don't want to make any aspersions about the Texas Democrat Party and their level of intelligence, though.
Well, you usually do. Oh, man. Tell the story again that you saw the same woman at one rally, and then at another rally she was of a different race.
Yeah, this weekend the Bell County Democrats held a protest to get the governor Rosselli Rosillo, whatever his name is, from Puerto Rico. So they held a protest in solidarity for him to resign.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the women that was there, Evelyn Garcia, was quoted on the news as being she was talking about how she stands with her fellow Puerto Ricans, and as a Puerto Rican, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I stood next to her, when she was calling us, LGBTQ slander, words that if I had said would consider me a bigot, Evelyn said she was Mexican. So she's at one protest for illegal immigrants as a Mexican, and she's at another protest for Puerto Rico as a Puerto Rican. I just hope we don't have to worry about a Confederate protest, because she might show up as a slave owner. I don't know.
As a descendant of Stonewall Jackson.
Yes.
Okay. Man, oh man, yeah. Okay.
She's a creative gal.
She is. She's quite the chameleon. But in this day and age of Democrat identity politics, she can claim to be, I guess, whoever she wants. And
that's true.
I'm the Maharaji.
Yeah. Well, you claim to be all sorts of things, so I can't keep up with you. All right, let's talk Joe Biden for just a second.
I love babies. Show me babies. Lots of babies. Where's the babies? Line up the babies. Where are the darlings?
Yeah, where are the darlings? Women and children first. That's the Joe Biden campaign theme. The Detroit fundraiser, Biden promised to be less polite here in the second debate. In other words, he's going to roll up his sleeves and, he's scrap metal Joe, lunch pail Joe. He's going to take Kamala Harris out behind the... Wait a minute.
He'd lose.
Oh, she's got nice smelling hair. Would you like a back rub, Kamala?
You have to wonder how many more of these are. I really want. There are so many people I want to be the leader in the Democrat primary, because I want to see more of them, because I know that it's going to be entertainment worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Swalwell's already gone. Gravel probably won't be up there. So, I mean, we're left with Beto and Biden. Two white guys.
No, there's plenty more.
Well, Marianne Williamson.
Well, then there's Kamala,
She's just angry, though.
Yeah, I know, but...
she's just angry.
I'm just waiting for, somebody's got
Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete's got to start.
Somebody's going to pounce on...
in his game.
Somebody's going to pounce on Mayor Willie. And just, Kamala's already pounced on Mayor Willie, really, hadn't she? Come to think of it. But the point is, that's going to happen at some point. Somebody's going to bring that up.
What I want to know is the wealthiest person in the Democrat Party hasn't been heard from since he made his announcement. Where is Tom Steyer?
He's not serious. I don't think. There's no way. I tell you, and everybody's scared, and everybody keeps talking about the shadow campaign of the world's most admired woman, Michelle Obama. That she's going to wait until after the primaries and jump right in. I don't buy it.
No, I think Steyer's in there to be a spoiler, though. I do think he's in there to be a spoiler, and that he probably is looking to disrupt things for Biden to give Kamala the edge, because that would be who I would think the Obamas are supporting. Because Steyer also, besides him being this kind of activist guy, he's a bundler.
Yeah.
He has been a huge fundraiser for the Obamas.
That's true. Also, former Vice President Joe Biden spoke at an AARP forum in Des Moines.
Fitting.
He should have took Mueller with him, apparently. That'd been a perfect setting, wouldn't it? Anyway, many Ohio voters still like former Vice President Joe Biden, and right now he is the only Democrat straight up that can beat Trump in Ohio, according to Quinnipiac. Yesterday morning, in a race between Biden and Trump, 50% of the likely Ohio voters surveyed said they'd go Biden. 42% said they would go Trump. So that's nearly a dead heat. The level of insecurity. And then there's also, you got the I don't know crowd. My favorite. I don't know.
I do not recall.
And what president put you in as? Oh, that was Bush. And by my notes, it was
Social
Reagan.
Security disability attorney Ed Laughlin.
Are you disabled and unable to work? Have you been denied your Social Security disability benefits? Well, tell the federal government that you mean business. Call me toll-free at 1-800-492-2589 to schedule an immediate appointment with me in Killeen, Temple, or Waco. I'll appeal your denial and work hard to get you the benefits that you deserve. That's 1-800-492-2589. The phone call is free, and so is the appointment. You'll feel a lot better.
Here at Logic Nation, we're here to inform you, entertain you, and engage you.
We're also here to keep you informed about great products and services. Our goal is to seek out great sponsors for two major reasons.
The first reason is that we need sponsors to ensure that we can continue bringing you cutting-edge commentary, sound bites, and callers.
Second, we love telling you about companies that make your life better.
That's logical.
So make your company a part of our radio family.
At logicnation.us. Today.
You hear the Logic Nation on our great radio station in this area, but there are other places to find us as well.
To be a caller on the show, the Logic line is 866-895-6442 or 866-89-LOGIC.
If you'd like to join our radio family as a sponsor, email me, David Hodges, at david@logicnation.us or executive producer Luann Anderson at la@logicnation.us.
Find us on Facebook, too. Like our new Logic Nation page to keep up with the articles and videos that we use on the air. Also find show content on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
The official show site is logicnation.us. Go there for information about the show and to access our official live stream.
Our great affiliates are streaming as well, so look for us on their websites.
Most important, catch us on this radio station you're enjoying right now. Tune in and be logical.
The Logic Nation is in touch. Hope you'll be too.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. Good to have you along here on a Thursday morning. And Luann, not only did she come in this morning, but she also brought a special guest.
Yes, that's right. We are so excited this morning. We are joined by Robert Lawson. He's the author of an upcoming book that drops next week called Socialism Sucks. Two economists drink their way through the unfree world.
Sounds like a man of my own heart.
There you go. Yeah, he wrote this book with Ben Powell, who is another economist out at Tech. But Bob Lawson, he holds the Jerome M. Fullwider Endowed Centennial Chair in Economic Freedom, is the director of the William J. O'Neill Center for Global Markets and Freedom at the SMU Cox School of Business. And so anyway, when I heard about this book last week, I got so excited thinking about it that, here we know that the key to a happy, healthy, thriving country is economic freedom. And instead, we seem to have this fascination that started with Bernie Bro-mania, I guess, about 3 years ago, and has now become its own Me Too movement, as all of these Democratic candidates can't wait to jump on the socialism bandwagon. And, I mean, who wouldn't want to jump into a system that's physically, economically, and emotionally harmful? And
Sure.
we've seen examples of it all through the world. So, Bob, welcome to the program. And please tell us, socialism sucks. Two economists drink their way through the unfree world. So I guess you got home semi-sobered up and started putting this book together.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it started actually with me wanting to go to Cuba just because I wanted to see the place, and I called Ben and I said, "Hey, let's go to Cuba, and if we write a chapter, maybe for a book chapter for a book or something, we could write it off our taxes." So this kind of started that as a drinking tax dodge, and not long after that, the socialism thing blew up with Bernie and then AOC and all that. So we said, well, let's keep going. Let's go to Venezuela, and we went to the border of North Korea and Russia, China, all over. And we wanted to tour these socialist and former socialist countries and get an idea, not just an academic idea, but get an idea on the street what it's like.
Well, and so you've been doing this over what, about the last 3 or so years?
Yeah, it took us about 3 years. Both Ben and I have day jobs, so we'd go someplace for a couple of weeks and then come back, wait 6 months, do another trip. At the end of the day, it took about 3 years. Yeah, it was a long time.
And what were some of the takeaways of visiting with people on the streets, in the bars, out casually? How do people, do they understand why their plight is how it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in these countries knows that it's not going well. I mean, this was obvious in Venezuela. We went to the Colombian-Venezuela border, and you've probably seen the bridges that the Venezuelans are crossing into Colombia, some to escape, but others just to go to buy food. And there's no doubt. We talked to a couple, Paulo and Ana Maria, one couple we talked to. They had driven 3 days from the other side of Venezuela all the way to Colombia. So it's a 3-day one-way, 6 days round trip, and they were just going to buy. They were there to buy rice and beans and sugar, aspirin and such.
Wow!
And these were middle class people. These were not poor people. So there's no doubt that can you imagine driving like from here to Vancouver for groceries? I mean, this is essentially what these people were having to do, and these were normal people.
And I guess they were fortunate people in that they still had some resources, funds, in order to even be able to buy anything, because some people probably don't have that.
Yeah, they were middle-class people. I mean, they had a car. They had the means to drive that far. They did say to us that this might be their last trip because it was just getting too dangerous to travel on the roads for bandits and such. So I actually wonder about them now a lot because they were a very, very nice couple, young couple.
How long ago was that?
That was about 2.5 years ago. So this was really before the most recent crisis really hit the fan. So, I mean, things were going south. I mean, thousands and thousands of people crossing to buy food is clearly a crisis even when we were there. But, since then it's only gotten worse.
So was Venezuela the worst place that you saw during all these trips?
Well, we saw North Korea. Now, to be fair, we didn't go into North Korea. Ben runs the Free Market Institute. I have a chair in economic freedom. I don't think the North Koreans would let us in, but
probably not.
They won't let you in. They just won't let you out.
That's probably the real risk. But we went to the China-North Korea border, and we got as close to North Korea as you can get. And I mean, literally just 100 yards away, and we could see and talk. We talked to some people on the other side, on the Chinese side. I can tell you what, I can sum up everything with beer because we did have a North Korean beer. And I suppose if I was in North Korea, I'd drink it. And the hope would be that the beer might kill me before the government.
That was actually going to be my question is you talk about drinking through these socialist countries. So talk a little bit about the differences in the drinks that you had in these countries.
Yeah, so that became a sort of, we didn't really intend this, but it became a running metaphor. To go to Cuba, for example, there's only 2 types of beer. The government central planners, it's a totally socialist country, so the planners in Havana have decreed that they're going to only make 2 kinds of beer. They don't import beer, so you have Cristal and Bucanero. Those are the 2 beers. And if you don't like that, comrade, well, tough for you. Venezuela has actually run out of beer. I mean, literally completely, the country has run out of beer. And that's because the government needs to import barley. And they don't have any hard currency to do it.
Okay, that right there should be the argument against socialism. Forget economics.
Well, it is. I mean, if I'm ever a socialist dictator, by God, there's going to be beer.
Me too. I'm with you.
Everything else is going to go to hell in a handbasket. We know that, but we're absolutely going to have beer. But it's not all bleak. We went to Georgia, the former Soviet Republic, And in Soviet times, this is where they made wine. Soviet central planners were smart enough to know that Georgia was good for making wine, but they imported French grapes. They made just billions of gallons or barrels of horrible Cabernet and so forth. And the Georgians actually have a historic wine-making tradition and their own varieties. And since the fall of the Soviet Union, Georgia has become a wine mecca now. And they're producing some of the world's coolest. And if you're a wine snob, go to Georgia. It's becoming a real tourist destination for wine people.
Okay, that'll clean out half a temple in Waco.
So they are socialist. However, they do have this thriving wine industry.
Well, they're not socialists anymore.
Oh, okay,
Georgia, on the Economic Freedom Index that I do in my day job, Georgia's in the top 10 in the whole world. They have a higher score than the United States. So Georgia is the one former, along with perhaps Estonia, they're the few Soviet economies from the old days have really moved towards free market capitalism.
And now you guys went to Sweden as well, and that certainly is always one of those examples that you hear younger kids throw up as, oh, Sweden's socialist.
Well, Boini always throws it up. It's perfect. It's the perfect place.
And so what was your take on Sweden? How would you describe that to people?
Well, the title of that chapter is called Not Socialism, Sweden. It's not a socialist country. Now, if you go to Sweden, and I've been there, it's lovely. The beer is great, and there's beer from all over the world. And the people are driving in private cars, going to private homes and private businesses, and products are sold at unregulated prices. In many ways, the Swedish economy is more free market than the United States, except on tax day. Now, their taxes are about 50% higher than the United States. And we could have an honest conversation about taxes, but that's not socialism. So one of the things we wanted to do in the book is correct that myth that Sweden is socialism.
And so here in the minute and a half or so we have left, what would you say to the Bernie bros that are still out there, the AOC fan people that are all touting this socialist line? I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot of it with next week's debate. What would you tell certainly America's younger generation? What would be your message about socialism and its dangers in this country?
Yeah, we went to the Socialism Conference in Chicago last year, about a year ago this week, and talked to a lot of these young socialists. And to be honest, I agree with them a lot. They see a lot of social injustice in this world, and I see a lot of social injustice in the world. What they need to do is to read some history and to read some economics, because turning over complete power to the government over the economy is not going to solve the social justice problems that they see. It's not going to make immigrants be treated better. It's not going to make the cops less hostile to, minorities or whatever the concern is. So, their concerns, I think, have at least in many of their concerns, I had some sympathy for, but they don't really understand how to solve those problems. And certainly government control of the economy is not going to do it.
There you go.
Well, and if they grew up with, helicopter parents who were always taking care of them, are they looking at government just being a new substitute for those parents?
Mm-hmm. That's true. Hey, Bob, we're about to run out of time, but we do appreciate it. The name of the book is Socialism Sucks. Two economists drink their way through the unfree world. It's coming out next Tuesday.
Correct.
And
mine's on pre-order.
You can pre-order it on Amazon and at fine bookstores everywhere. We do appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
DWI and criminal defense attorney Ed Laughlin. Just because you or a loved one has been pulled over or arrested for DWI does not mean you're guilty of DWI. I'm attorney Ed Laughlin, and to be arrested and charged with DWI, the officer has to only have probable cause that you're intoxicated. It's only the officer's opinion. However, to be convicted of DWI, your guilt must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a much stricter burden. If you have been arrested for DWI or any other offense and want an attorney who will rigorously defend you, call me at 1-800-492-2589 or log on to my website at edlaughlin.com. Over the past 25 years as an attorney, I've been both a prosecutor and now a defense attorney. You need an experienced attorney who will work hard to get you the justice that you deserve.
What are you waiting for? Call Ed now at 1-800-492-2589 to schedule a free confidential appointment or visit Ed's website at edlaughlin.com. First visit is always free. You're going to feel a whole lot better. See Ed's ad in Names and Numbers.
You wouldn't steal from a department store, would you? Shoplifting doesn't only hurt the store owners, it puts every employee's job in jeopardy. And if everyone shoplifted, it would weaken local economies to the point of unsustainability. The same principle applies to Social Security fraud. People who receive more benefits than they should or illegally get benefits by lying to Social Security aren't just making the system insecure, they're literally stealing from honest taxpayers. Anyone can report fraud anonymously. You can learn more about Social Security's relentless anti-fraud efforts at www.socialsecurity.gov/anti-fraud-facts. We aggressively investigate and pursue prosecution of those who try to cheat and steal from the system. Shoplifting and stealing from your neighbors is morally and ethically wrong. The same goes for stealing from Social Security. If you suspect someone is committing Social Security fraud, report it online at http://oig.ssa.gov/report or call the Social Security Fraud Hotline at 1-800-269-0271.
It can begin with an email, a phone call, a flyer in the mail, or perhaps a misleading website. Loan modification scams. They come in all shapes and sizes and under different names. Loan rescue firms, counseling services, mortgage consultants, sometimes posing as a legitimate mortgage company willing to help you modify your loan and get caught up with your payments. But beware, these are highly trained con artists looking to steal your home. They often know who you are, where you live, and because it's public record, know if you are on the brink of foreclosure. You're not alone, however. The National Crime Prevention Council and U.S. Department of Justice have partnered to help homeowners identify and steer clear of these scam artists.
McGruff the Crime Dog here. Protect your home and safeguard your finances. It only takes a little time to become informed. Start by finding a free legitimate housing counselor today.
Take the first step. Visit www.ncpc.org/mortgage-fraud. That's ncpc.org/mortgage-fraud. This message is from the National Crime Prevention Council and U.S. Department of Justice.
A popular Christmas movie features the story of a dejected businessman who sees life as if he had never been born. He discovers that, despite all his failures, he has brought joy and life to countless people. Each person has so much potential for good, and nowhere is this potential greater than with an unborn child. This Christmas and always, please work to preserve the wonder of life for the unborn and their mothers. This has been a perspective on life from National Right to Life. For more information, visit our website at nrlc.org.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. Again, thanks to Bob Lawson from the book Socialism Sucks. Two economists drink their way through the unfree world. And again, that'll be released next Tuesday at fine bookstores everywhere, or you can pre-order at Amazon or probably other bookstores. So anyway, but that's a neat.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. So, yeah.
And I got a feeling you'll see Mr. Lawson and his co-author Benjamin Powell probably on Fox pretty soon, and if not that, you'll see him somewhere on television. So
Definitely. And that book drops next Tuesday, but you can pre-order it right now.
There you go. All right, we are Logic Nation. This is David Hodges, along with C.J. Grisham and the lovely Luann Anderson. 866-895-6442. We're broadcast from the Ed Laughlin Attorney at Law Studio. 75 degrees outside with beautiful. I don't think there's a cloud in the sky the last time I ducked my head outside. So pretty nice. It's for July, you can't beat it. But
Yeah, I know it was nice this morning. And, yesterday actually broke a record for low temperatures
yes.
This time of the year.
Oh, yes.
Today it's only going to get up to like 88.
Oh, that's a degree less than yesterday.
Luann's wearing a sweater right now.
Yeah.
I know this studio. I've always got a sweater on.
See, it always seems warm in here to me, All right. We were talking before we started visiting with Bob Lawson about some of the Democratic challengers for the nomination. Elizabeth Warren, who yesterday came out with her plan to pay for everybody's student loans. Now, she didn't get into the specifics of her plan. Nobody knows where the money's coming from, but she's planning. This is her plan. She's planning on doing that. Well, today she's out predicting economic recession, maybe even by the end of 2020.
That's what they're hoping for.
That's what they are totally hoping for, because that way they can hurt Trump that way. Elizabeth Warren issued a stark warning about the economy. She rolled out a slew of proposed regulations and $1 trillion investment. Of course, there's got to be $1 trillion of investment by the government to stop the coming recession. According to Elizabeth Warren, and this is a quote, "The warning lights are flashing. Whether it's this year or next year, the odds of another economic downturn are high. This time, though, we can head it off. Congress and regulators should act immediately." It's the cycle's always going to be up and down, up and down. Yeah, it might not be as robust as it is now in 2020, but still, I don't know that we're headed to recession immediately. But of course, the Democrats always run on doom and gloom. I mean, look at climate change. The world will end in 12 years, or the world will end in 50 years, or the world will end during your grandbabies' times when they're adults.
They're like those doomsday cults.
Yeah.
The only difference is they don't actually pop cyanide pills at the end of it like they should.
I'm not promoting that, but on the other hand, I would get rid of a few. Might not have 20-some-odd people running for the nomination if they had that. She's a driving force behind the Obama administration's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and pointed to the level of personal and corporate debt exacerbated by stagnant wages and rising cost. Well, the wages in this country right now aren't stagnant at this point. If you don't work in broadcasting, they're not stagnant. I mean, if you do, real work, and there's plenty of room.
Kamala Harris put out a tweet yesterday about the minimum wage, and she went through the last several decades of minimum wage increases. And about every 2 years or so, or 10 years or so, it goes up about $2 or $3. And yet here we have right now Democrats trying to quadruple that. Mm-hmm. Well, double it. I'm sorry, quadruple the $2 thing. And it no one seems to want to respond to me why they want to just stop at $15. I mean, if $15 is so great, Rashida says 20. Yeah.
20, I got 25.
Exactly.
25. I hit 30. 30. I got 30. I did 35.
But I mean, but for those of you out there pushing for $15, I mean, heck, if $15 is so great, why not just make it 50? Just, and so there was one liberal I was talking to because I basically said, yeah, if you enjoy a $12 taco, then yeah, $15 for a Taco Bell employee is wonderful. And she says, well, I would, I'd have no problem paying, what was it? $1,000, whatever. She literally, they're sitting there saying they would rather work an entire hour of their life to afford one taco. And once you put it in that perspective, you get blocked. When you go back, say, okay, so you want to work an entire day of your life for 1 hour just to afford one taco, and you still can't get anything to wash it down with.
Not me. I'm sorry.
No.
And the truth is, like we see at McDonald's, and we're going to see it at Taco Bell, and we'll see it everywhere else. If they were able to pass this stupid thing, you're going to see kiosks. There'll be people maybe in the back preparing the food, but there'll be nobody in the front and there'd probably be like one person maybe cleaning up the joint, if that.
If you want a job in the future, you better know how to fix kiosks.
Yeah, that'd be the best thing to do. Kamala Harris is out, and she's still running on she was a girl that was bussed. Bussing has been over for how long? It's 2019, Kamala. It's not 1964 or 1963 anymore. I should know. Spare me the old jokes. Thank you. 866-895-6442.
Need to sell your house? Most agents will put a sign in the ground, post it, and pray. My name is Ryan Smith of the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team and Keller Williams Realty, and I work hard to get my clients top dollar for their house. I'm so confident in my system that I will guarantee to sell your house in 90 days or less at a price you agree with, or I'll sell it for free. I've developed an exclusive marketing system proven to get you up to 18% more money. It doesn't cost anything to see what I can do for you. 254-213-5335. Using my system, I recently sold a house in Windmill Farms for David and Kim before their house even hit the market. I only get paid when you get results. Don't leave money on the table. Call me. No long-term contracts, no obligation. You're not happy, you change your mind, fire me. It is that easy. There's literally no reason not to call. 254-213-5335. That's 254-213-5335. We are the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team. Call us today and start packing tomorrow.
Here at the Logic Nation, we often encourage you to be logical. Now, I've got two more great words to live by. Get supplied. With Studio L as a center point, Smith Supply will provide you with everything to clean anything and deliver it on time within 150 miles. That means we can deliver cleaning supplies to any facility, any business, including hotels and motels, even industries and factories, anywhere in the Killeen, Temple, Fort Hood Metro, Waco, and Austin. No matter where you are, we can ship to your order. We also provide janitorial services and building maintenance in some areas. And our Temple showroom and our online catalog are open to the public. We're here to save you money and get your supplies to you on time, every time. So, get supplied. Since 1961, we're Smith Supply, 254-773-3592, and online at smithsupply.com.
Looking for a news source that gets you the news 12 to 18 hours after it happened? Sure you are. That's why you need the Morning Times Post. What better than walking out to your driveway and picking up a crisp, unless it's raining, feature paper? Nothing. The Morning Times Post. All the news we think you should know. Plus, our nameless liberal editorial board will help you know how to think about the news. Love Barack Obama? Scared of terrible earth-ending climate change? Voting for Hillary? You'll love the Morning Times Post opinion page. And wait, there's more. You need a subscription to also get our features. Want features on feeding the homeless? We got that. Will the marina be built right? I don't know, but you'll find out on our front page. Plus sports, comics, horoscopes. Where else you going to get that? Get your subscription today at our highest prices yet. The Morning Times Post. Good enough news source at $18.90. Good enough for you now. Welcome back into Logic Nation. Field staffers for Bernie Sanders have come to an agreement with management over a pay dispute. The agreement would guarantee field organizers a base salary equivalent of at least $15 an hour wage. Sanders said, though, he argued that the pay dispute could have been settled months ago had the union accepted a similar offer earlier. We made an offer which would have been addressed the problem several months ago. It was rejected. We underwent negotiating. Okay, great. Jonathan Williams, the spokesperson for the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 400, the union representing Sanders' campaign workers, confirmed to The Hill on Tuesday that an agreement had been reached. Now, that's great, except for the fact, yeah, they're making $15 an hour, but their hours have been cut. So,
and what also, guess what? Their hours have been cut, their pay's been raised, but they're not making a dime more than they used to.
That's right. So
they're still capped at $35,000 a year.
You got your $15 an hour.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I guess they get more time off now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a win.
Isn't that what's supposed to be great for the economy? Wasn't there some study back there that
I remember
people doing nothing is great for the...
I remember Pelosi saying that if you were unemployed, they gave you more time to seek out your
loves,
your loves. You could learn to paint, or you could walk more, or you could see your grandkids more.
Yeah,
isn't it great? Yeah, not that you forget you're going to starve to death, but that's okay. At least you got those moments, those special moments. CNN is seeking $300,000 worth of commitment to buy ads in the next Democratic debate. TV's latest emerging hit takes all the thrills of traditional reality competition programming and mixes in an awful lot of drama. It's not a knockoff of American Idol or a new MTV series. Instead, it's something that might be compared to Sunday public affairs programming laced with amphetamine, according to Brian Steinberger, writing on Variety. CNN is seeking exponential high prices for ad packages set to run in its broadcast of the two debates among Democratic presidential hopefuls next week. According to a person familiar with the matter, the AT&T-owned cable news outlet is requiring a commitment of $300,000 in advertising on the network before a potential sponsor can purchase commercials within the 2-hour debate. So you have to pay for $300,000 worth of commercials outside the debate, and then we'll allow you to get in on the debate.
Gee, you think it's a money-making scam?
The total cost would likely be more total than the package of commercials on AMC's The Walking Dead.
Well, they can't raise money from people that want to support them in the public, so they might as well charge the candidates.
Yeah. Think about that. AMC's The Walking Dead, that's twice more than a package of commercials on The Walking Dead to watch the Walking Dead debaters on Tuesday and Wednesday night next week. It's unbelievable. Ethics complaint has been filed against Ilhan Omar for alleged fraud. Judicial Watch announced yesterday that it has filed ethics complaints against Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar with the House of Representatives Office of Congressional Ethics for potential immigration, marriage, tax, and student loan fraud. Why do I not question some of this?
What about incest?
Well, I think that's the marriage part.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
In a press release, the government watchdog, Judicial Watch, announced that, this is Tom Fitton's bunch, has submitted a hand-delivered ethics complaint to the Office of Congressional Ethics, calling for a full investigation into potential crimes tied to the allegations that Representative Ilhan Omar may have married her biological brother to get to this country. And then she's also got a tax problem because, according to Tom Fitton, she filed a tax return as married, filing jointly. But
with someone she wasn't married to.
She wasn't married to that guy.
Yeah.
So
you guys are just so picky.
Yeah.
and we're such racists.
Yeah, I know.
How dare we invoke the law on a person of color?
Well, Donald Trump has not shown his tax returns. Well, so what? She didn't have to show her tax returns either. And apparently, if they're as screwed up as this thing seems to be, she probably shouldn't have. What was it? Beto. Yeah, Beto, Robert Patrick. He opened up his tax returns to everybody because he was going to show everybody what a pure guy he was. While he's flailing his arms around. He flipped out a couple of tax returns. And people went through the tax returns and said, you underpaid the last 2 years. And why wouldn't you go, if you've got as much money as O'Rourke does, why wouldn't you have gone to a CPA and got it looked at?
I just don't understand why we even care about someone's tax returns.
I don't know. I agree completely.
Who cares about, as a society, he thinks he did something special, and Americans are like, eh.
Nobody cares, really. But on the other hand, there's a lot of these ethics complaints that raise some questions about Omar, whether it's tax or not. You married your brother? Really?
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us.
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Logic Nation as we wrap up hour number 2. The federal government is going to resume executions, right?
Yes, that's right. This morning it's been announced that Attorney General William Barr has directed the Bureau of Prisons to schedule executions of 5 inmates convicted of murder and other crimes. This will be the first executions after nearly 2 decades of them having been curtailed. And these executions have been scheduled for December 2019 and January 2020.
Okay. Well, can't happen soon enough. If they've been through all the appeals and everything else, isn't it about time? I mean,
right.
if it's, I never have understood why we just continue to, like our guy down in Fort Hood, Hassan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sitting there still.
Right.
And they had a date set for him at one point, but now it's
this has gone back and forth. The Supreme Court outlawed state and federal death penalty laws in 1972. The federal death penalty was reinstated in 88, and then in 94 it was expanded by Congress. But no executions have taken place, however, since 2001.
You think about it. We have laws on the books in this country, and the federal government and the state government, and in some cases the local governments, like sanctuary cities and things like that, they don't have to play that game. They don't have to play by the law. You and I, all of us, have to play by the law. Let us drive 80 in a 70, and we're going to pay for it, right?
Shouldn't we oppose the death penalty because it separates children from their parents?
Well, that won't be me that is going to protest that. I mean, and especially if there's like Hassan, you've got witness after witness after witness. Everybody know he did it, and it's just, I mean,
I used to
get
be
it done.
I used to be extremely pro death penalty. Having seen the court system from the inside, I'm only rarely death penalty, and that's when there's like video, scientific evidence or evidence, actual physical evidence.
Like I say, with Hassan,
Yes.
you've got how many
Right.
eyewitnesses?
Exactly.
So, I mean,
those
get
are
it
the
over
few
with.
exceptions that I will make to that. But I think by and large, for the most part, I just don't trust our court systems to put the right people to death. I mean, we just had a guy here in Texas that was released after 26 years
Mhm.
and he was on death row for a crime he didn't commit, and he was finally released. He lost 26 years of his life.
Well, going through, I was a blogger involved with the Michael Morton case some years ago.
Yeah.
And that certainly was eye-opening for me. And, I mean, that happened down in Williamson County, just the county next to us.
Right. No, it sort of depends on how much you can afford lawyering, too. And
Well, and
when it's a he said, she said kind of deal, that's
And all you've really got to do is just stack the jury pool, get a judge that is sympathetic to one side or the other, that will craft what can and cannot be admitted as evidence, and boom, you've got your conviction.
That's not in my purview.
Yep.
Well, my daughter went to a thing out in Joshua Tree a couple months ago with a guy named Damian Eccles, and he was one of the Memphis Three, which were 3 young boys. He was the only one that I think was 18 at the time of the trial, or the time of these deaths having occurred. There was a little boy that had been murdered, and they were kids who were kind of goth-type kids. They wore all the dark clothes and all this stuff. This was a small town. This was West Memphis, Arkansas. It was a small town in the late 80s, and people were kind of all in the hysteria about Satan worshipers
Oh,
and
yes,
stuff
I
like
remember
that.
that. Yep.
And
The Marilyn
80s,
Manson.
right?
people,
What
yeah,
was
it was
the
like
great-
late 80s. It was
Yeah,
like
the great
late
Marilyn
80s.
Manson
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole community was ginned up. And we watched a documentary about it not too long ago. The whole community was ginned up. They needed the prosecution, and these kids were the ones who took the fall.
Yeah, well, that happens. Certainly does. The House of Representatives, as we told you yesterday, overwhelmingly passed by a vote 398 to 17 to reject the boycott, divestment, and sanctions BDS campaign against Israel and call for increased security aid to the Jewish state. Then yesterday, along comes our wonderful leader in the House, the Speaker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She suggests that a non-binding resolution opposing boycotts of Israel would force critics of the Jewish state to commit acts of terror. Like they weren't going to commit acts of terror without it or with it. I mean, let's face it, the Jewish state has tons of terror involved in them every year. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that since we won't boycott Israel, that's just going to force the terrorists to commit more terrorism in Israel. She is a brain trust, isn't she?
Brain dead.
Back after the top of the hour news, this is Logic Nation.
I've been waiting so long. I know you've been wondering about me.
When you say you support the troops, do you mean it? Hi, this is Lou Diamond Phillips for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Every day, more service members are coming home from combat. In many cases, they return to no job, no money, and a lifetime of stress. That's where the VFW steps in, providing emergency financial support with their Unmet Needs program.
Coming home. Come running up to me. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
For over 100 years, no one has done more for veterans than the VFW.
I'm coming home.
Please help us help them by texting the word HERO to 90999 for a $10 donation. That's HERO to 90999.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh,
I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Look, no one likes an awkward silence, but it can do a lot of good. So seize the awkward.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Reach out to a friend who might be struggling with their mental health. It doesn't matter how you ask. For more information, visit seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. On your Thursday, David Hodges, CJ Grisham, Lou Ann Anderson from the Ed Law Firm, Attorney at Law Studios in Temple. 78 degrees outside right now. You can give us a call at 866-895-6442. We're going to go back to the lovely hearings from yesterday because this is the morning after.
There's got to be a morning after if we can hold on through the night.
You know, if we were thinking, we would have put some Bob Mueller cuts involved in this. You know. Well, at the first, is that in the text?
What page? What
page
citation?
What's that? Oh, that's not in my purview. Anyway, it is the morning after the fantastic Mueller hearings that we'd been waiting for so long. It was just the media had pumped this up like it was a Super Bowl, and it turned out to be a test pattern, as Greg Gutfeld said yesterday on the 5. I mean, it was not good. Not good for the Democrats. Wasn't good for Brother Mueller or anybody else, I don't think. Maybe it was good for this guy. I don't know.
This whole thing has been, honestly, it's been collusion. It's been collusion with the media. It's been collusion with other countries. This has been a disaster for the Democrats, and I think we're going to win bigger than ever.
Okay, maybe he will. You know, it's possible. There was nothing in that yesterday. And I still, you know, like we said earlier in the show, there's Hollywood types and there's someone on the super far left that will never be happy until they get him. But, okay, there's your Mueller report. And now you've had your Mueller hearing. And you got zip squat nada right now.
Yep.
I mean, unless Trump goes out and, you know, does something ugly, right? You know, while he's in office, I don't see where you've got anything. But I'm sure that there are lots of trolls out there that will tell me differently. Because
there's. Well, I guess we don't know that.
Yeah, there we go.
But I'd like to hear from people because did you actually watch it? What are your thoughts? Did you listen to the sound bites?
Well, you know that a lot of people couldn't watch it because it was in the middle of the day, and lots of people, you know, actually have jobs that don't allow them to listen to it.
Yes.
You know, that's not us. Our job is to listen to it and to, you know, I guess try to make sense of it at some point. But there were hardly any sense to it. I think Donald Trump the president may have actually just summed it up best right here.
The Democrats had nothing, and now they have less than nothing. And I think they're going to lose the 2020 election very big, including congressional seats, because of the path that they chose.
I think, yeah, he summed it up right here.
The Democrats had nothing, and now they have less than nothing.
Well, that might be right. I mean, now what are they hope for now? I mean, it's not something that, you know, what are they looking for anymore?
That's a good question. I think that's the one that'll make you a millionaire when you figure it out.
I don't know. Anyway, now there are some on the left that haven't given up yet. MSNBC's Chris Matthews last night. He started off hardball last night by saying this: Second term or prison term? Let's play hardball. Apparently, Bob Mueller sent a tingle up his leg last night. I don't know. That's the message from today's testimony by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. A second term for Trump or a prison term for Trump. Trump is not exonerated in the investigation by Mueller and stands vulnerable to indictments the second he leaves office. Go ahead. You know what I'm going to say. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, we just don't know that.
Well, first of all, it is not an investigator's, it's not in their purview, to use Mueller, to actually exonerate anybody. You either have a case together against somebody and you charge them. You don't exonerate anybody. In fact, a jury trial, the jury says not guilty. They don't say exonerated.
Exactly.
And
because you have the presumption of innocence.
This is ticky-tack BS on the count of the media and the left-wingers, because they know that that's true. In fact, it was brought up many times during the testimonies yesterday by the Republicans that he couldn't exonerate anybody.
Right, because that's not his role. And the whole thing is that, I mean, Mueller's been all over the map with regard to whether or not he would indict Trump. And, you know, he always, this Office of Legal Counsel, this guidance, Mueller's coming in there saying, you know, but for the OLC guidance, he's at least implying that sometimes when he's on, you know, one version of his story.
Yeah, when he was in the Judiciary Committee, and then he came back and said, oh, no, that wasn't, I misspoke.
Right. And so, but, you know, he's, you know, but for the OLC guidance, he would have indicted Trump. Meanwhile, Barr is like, but for lack of evidence.
Yeah. Which is
Trump would have been indicted.
Which obviously
you know,
is the case.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's crazy stuff. But I mean, it was just that right there, the exoneration thing. That reeks of Bill Clinton to me. It depends on what your definition of sex is. You know, exoneration. That's just playing word games, because exoneration is not that's not even it's not something that we do in this country. You don't, if you're looking to prosecute somebody, it's not up to you to exonerate them.
Well, and one of the points that I thought was made yesterday that, again, I hope people who never have heard any of this before, that maybe on the regular networks might have been getting some new information, they understand that second volume of the Mueller report shouldn't even exist.
No,
it was inappropriate for them to even do that, but that was given.
That was the volume I read.
That was the gimme to the Dems.
Because I knew that was going to be the one, because the first volume, no corroboration. Well, I knew that. So then I read the second volume, and that might as well have been printed in been seen in a rack as you're walking through, getting to check out at HEB or something.
Well, I love Debbie Lesko, a rep from Arizona, yesterday. She said, Volume 2 seems a regurgitation of press stories. There was nothing new that I didn't know by virtue of a $50 cable news subscription.
Exactly. I mean, it was just all gossip and stuff. I mean, when they started talking about, what Trump said to some of his lackeys about firing Mueller or do this or do that, how did they know? They weren't there.
And I would go back to also say, is there some unflattering stuff that's detailed? Absolutely.
Sure there is.
But, again, when we do this but-for test, but for this bogus investigation into him, those conversations wouldn't have been taking place.
And
he was so frustrated.
And secondly, again, it was hearsay. Who told you that, Mr. Mueller? And nobody asked that.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the Republicans didn't ask. Where'd you get that information from?
Well, he didn't know because he didn't know. He didn't even know who they interviewed.
Well, no, because he didn't sit in on the interviews.
Somebody was talking to him about attorney number 2 that was named in something who texted Viva la Resistance, and he wouldn't even acknowledge that attorney worked.
Didn't know who Fusion GPS was. Didn't realize that Strzok and Page were lovers, and they both hated Trump. No, I didn't know that.
I don't ask those questions.
Yeah. Con, hang on. We're coming to you after the break. This is Logic Nation, 866-895-6442.
Social Security Disability Attorney Ed Laughlin.
Are you disabled and unable to work?
Have you been denied your Social Security disability benefits? Well, tell the federal government that you mean business. Call me toll-free at 1-800-492-2589 to schedule an immediate appointment with me in Killeen, Temple, or Waco. I'll appeal your denial and work hard to get you the benefits that you deserve. That's 1-800-492-2589. The phone call is free, and so is the appointment. You'll feel a lot better.
Here at the Logic Nation, we often encourage you to be logical. Now, I've got two more great words to live by. Get supplied. With Studio L as a center point, Smith Supply will provide you with everything to clean anything and deliver it on time within 150 miles. That means we can deliver cleaning supplies to any facility, any business, including hotels and motels, even industries and factories, anywhere in the Killeen, Temple, Fort Hood Metro, Waco, and Austin. No matter where you are, we can ship to your order. We also provide janitorial services and building maintenance in some areas. And our Temple showroom and our online catalog are open to the public. We're here to save you money and get your supplies to you on time, every time. So, get supplied. Since 1961, we're Smith Supply, 254-773-3592, and online at smithsupply.com. Here at Logic Nation, we're here to inform you, entertain you, and engage you.
We're also here to keep you informed about great products and services. Our goal is to seek out great sponsors for two major reasons.
The first reason is that we need sponsors to ensure that we can continue bringing you cutting-edge commentary, sound bites, and callers.
Second, we love telling you about companies that make your life better.
That's logical.
So make your company a part of our radio family.
At logicnation.us. Today.
I heard on the news about that 5-year-old who found his uncle's gun. The kid didn't know it was loaded.
I heard on the news about that 14-year-old girl who was bullied online for like a year. She couldn't take it anymore, so she got her dad's gun from his nightstand.
I heard on the news about that guy who broke into someone's house, stole a gun from the hall closet.
He accidentally shot his cousin in the head.
She killed herself.
And later, killed the owner of the store he was trying to rob.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, at-risk teens, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you to store your firearms safely. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Logic Nation. As promised, let's go to the phones. Here's Con in Temple. Hey, Con.
Hey, well, I just want to say there's an old saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They want to hold Donald Trump accountable for every living thing he's done in the last 30 or 40 years. Why don't we hold the Nadler bunch and Mueller bunch accountable for the $30 million they spent on this witch hunt? Where'd the money go? And who did it go to?
Lawyers.
See, did it all go to Democrat lawyers? Is that where the $30 million went?
Yep, sure did.
So what, was it about an investigation, or was it about paying their friends? That's what they were doing. They were just paying their friends. $30 million went somewhere. Where did it go?
I think it was an attorney employment program of 2018-19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it probably was. But now Pelosi had her poster there yesterday at her press conference afterwards with Elijah Cummings and the Honorable Mr. Nadler and the Honorable Mr. Schiff. And, she was saying, oh, look, see how many people we've arrested and see how many people were interviewed and see how many – and nothing – and the ones that were arrested had nothing to do with Trump for the most part.
No. It was all process crime.
Yep.
Crime,
but process crime.
Need to ask the question, what did we get for $30 million? What did the American taxpayer receive for $30 million?
The only thing I can tell you is it looks like that that Nancy and the Democrats took a big old fat $30,000 cream pie right to the face after watching that mess yesterday.
Well, and Mr. Nadler got to see his face on TV, how many 100 times. Is that worth $30 million?
Gosh, no. Fact is,
like
I'd rather pay $30 million not to ever see Jerry Nadler or Adam Schiff again, tell you the truth.
Yeah, but the American people need to start demanding accountability of the Democrats as well as Republicans. And we're not holding any Democrat, including Hillary Clinton, accountable for what they have done and the money they have wasted. Why not?
Well, and I think we also saw yesterday that Mueller was deflecting a lot of that accountability you're talking about to the Inspector General Horowitz and to John Durham. And I personally just pray, like everything, that we do actually get some real accountability coming from one of those sources.
Well, Barr's looking into the way this thing started, supposedly. I mean, even Jim Jordan said that yesterday, so...
Yeah, I mean, Nadler's opening statement was that this hearing was about responsibility, integrity, and accountability. And I think that was pretty much an epic fail, but I am ready for some serious accountability. And I am ready for indictments.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, Chris, I do agree with you. Somebody needs to go to prison, but I don't think it's Trump by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, if you reward bad behavior, what do you expect to get more of?
Yeah,
yep.
exactly.
And we've been doing that for years and years.
And
if you don't punish bad behavior, what do you expect to get more of?
Yeah, bad behavior.
And Jim Jordan, he definitely went after Mueller about Mifsud and was saying that he was found to have lied to the FBI. So why, if Carter Page, Papadopoulos, any of these people could be, well, the Carter Page wasn't prosecuted, but certainly Papadopoulos was, for lying to the FBI, General Flynn, if they were, charged with lying, then why was Mifsud let off?
Because he wasn't a member of Trump's inner circle.
Yeah, and Mueller wouldn't answer if he was Russian or Western intelligence.
And not to say that Papadopoulos was even part of Trump's inner circle. He was on the fringe. I mean, Flynn is about the closest thing you could get, and they had got him for nothing. And nearly bankrupt the man.
In Manafort, they were just trying to squeeze him, and they went back and picked up all this old stuff that was so long predated Trump, but it was convenient because he was involved with Russians. And even he was, 65 days? He served as the campaign manager?
Yeah, about 2 months.
Well, let's look back at the Obama days with Lois Lerner in the IRS. She was holding the ladies down close to Houston accountable for every dollar she ever spent in her private business because she was a Tea Party member. So if we can hold Tea Party members accountable, why can't we hold Democrats accountable?
Well, you bring up a good point with Lois Lerner, too. The Lois Lerner went out, gave a statement, and then declared the fifth. That's not the way it's done.
Yeah, and who he's talking about down by Houston, who I think you're talking about is Catherine Engelbrecht, who was the founder of True the Vote. And,
right.
Yeah, and I mean, they came after her. She and her husband are business owners. They came after their business. I mean, they were sending OSHA. They were sending the EPA. Oh, they targeted them mercilessly.
And did Lois Lerner suffer the consequences of her actions?
She's still getting her pension.
Yeah, she's still got a government pension. Yeah, we're still paying for
her lifestyle.
And
she's drawing a big fat retirement check right now as we speak from us, the taxpayer, rewarding her for her bad behavior. My point, if you continue to reward bad behavior, what the hell do you expect to get more of?
Well, that's government, apparently. I mean,
that's the whole definition of government, is to reward bad behavior, because when you reward bad behavior, you get more bad behavior, which further justifies more government, which rewards bad behavior, which gets you more behavior, which increases the size of government.
And that's the way they like it.
Well, and pretty soon you've got a government out of control, and you've got the same thing they've got in Venezuela and other places around the globe that have tried it, and you see how it ended. So do we want to follow that same line of thinking here in this country? Is that what we the people want in America? Another Venezuela?
No, I don't think so. Now, just like Bob Lawson was on talking about his book, Socialism Sucks, and he was talking about the beer. Like in North Korea, they only have one kind, and according to him, you're better off just drinking too much of that and letting it kill you than living in North Korea.
Yeah. Well, when are the American people going to wake up to the mistakes made in history by other countries and us decide that we don't want to make that same mistake? When are we going to wake up to what most, not all, but most of the Democrats are trying to do to this country called the Republic of the United States of America?
I don't think that I think the majority of this country does not favor socialism. I think it's because we think that it's kind of like, I hate to use this analogy, but not everybody. If you watch television, you think everybody, about 50% of the population in the United States of America is either gay or transgendered. Well, that's just not true.
Right.
And you would think by watching on television that 75 to 80% of the American people are favor of socialism and they love the Democrats, and that's just not true either.
Well, but when are we going to stop standing idly by and watching this happen? If you just stand there and don't say anything, you're just as guilty as they are.
Well, I think
when the American Christian people are going to wake up and stand up?
2020.
I sure hope so. There are some Republicans that are standing really, really tall. Jim Jordan. Look at the Republicans in this hearing, and look at what they were doing. Now they were standing up real tall and standing for freedom. Look at Louis Gohmert,
John Ratcliffe, yeah.
Matt Gaetz,
John Ratcliffe.
Now the Texas delegation did a hell of a job yesterday.
They all had an R behind their name, and that doesn't mean every Republican, but there are
Lord
some
knows.
Republicans. They're standing up, and I'm sure glad to see that, because people are beginning to ask, well, where's the Republicans? Well, there are some of them.
Well, it's a good thing this was held in the House, because the Freedom Caucus got to show out, because those the ones that you named, Jordan, Ratcliffe, Louis Gohmert, people like that, Mike Meadows, and people like that. The Freedom Caucus is what we want as conservatives, because they're more conservative than they're Republican. Meanwhile, on the Senate side, you've got your Mitt Romneys and your Ben Sasses. They're more Republican than they are anything else, and they're playing games.
But why doesn't every freedom-loving Christian in the United States want the same?
That's a good question. I will say some of it is the power of the incumbency, but that's not the only reason. But that's a heck of a reason. Now, Con, we got to run to the break. When we come back, a little more on the Mueller investigation. Thanks for the call, Con. And we'll invite your calls on the big hearing yesterday. 866-895-6442. Back in a moment.
DWI and criminal defense attorney Ed Laughlin.
Just because you or a loved one has been pulled over or arrested for DWI does not mean you're guilty of DWI. I'm attorney Ed Laughlin, and to be arrested and charged with DWI, the officer has to only have probable cause that you're intoxicated. It's only the officer's opinion. However, to be convicted of DWI, your guilt must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a much stricter burden. If you have been arrested for DWI or any other offense and want an attorney who will rigorously defend you, call me at 1-800-492-2589 or log on to my website at edlaughlin.com. Over the past 25 years as an attorney, I've been both a prosecutor and now a defense attorney. You need an experienced attorney who will work hard to get you the justice that you deserve.
What are you waiting for? Call Ed now at 1-800-492-2589 to schedule a free confidential appointment or visit Ed's website at edlaughlin.com. First visit is always free. You're going to feel a whole lot better. See Ed's ad in Names and Numbers.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
3, 2, 1. Oh no. Which button am I?
When every second counts, you can't wing it.
Guys, a little help up here?
In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So make a family home fire escape plan. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year so everyone knows what to do when they hear. Prepare your family at ready.gov/fire drill. Brought to you by FEMA, the Ad Council, and Make Safe Happen.
I can't believe he found them.
He seems sorry.
We very clearly told him not to look up there.
I'm honestly impressed that he was able to do it.
Right? What did he balance on that big chair?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he'll just know what his gifts are this year.
I really thought we had hidden them well.
If they can find their presents, they can find a gun.
911, what is your emergency?
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Did you review documents related to the origin of the counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign?
On occasion.
Was the Steele dossier one of those documents that was reviewed?
And I can't discuss that case.
I'm just asking a process question. Have you read the Steele dossier?
And again, I'm not going to respond to that.
You were tasked as special counsel to investigate whether there was collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign associates to interfere with the 2016 election. And the FBI, we know, has relevant documents and information related to the opening of the CI investigation. Were you and your team permitted to access all of those documents?
And again, I can't get into that investigative, what we collected and what we're doing with investigation materials.
That was at least Stanford, who's a member of the House, obviously Republican, asking him questions about the Steele dossier. Oh, you can't answer that. You can't answer that. You can't answer that. He can't give you, the way they do things. Why not? It's over now, right? Are these House such touchy secrets in the special prosecutor's office, how they go about their business?
Well, I think what he's trying to say is because the DOJ now has opened an investigation into the origins of that report and everything and I understand where he's coming from, but the questions had nothing to do with the investigation. All she said was, have you had a chance to look into this stuff? Well, that's a simple yes or no. She's not saying, what did you see?
Or have you read the Steele dossier?
Right. Well, he didn't even know what that was.
What? Oh, he didn't know what Fusion GPS
Right.
was.
Well, that was Matt Gaetz talking with him, and he was, he said when people who are associated with Trump lie, they get prosecuted, but when the Democrats don't, when the Democrats lie or people not associated with Trump, they seem to get away with it. And then it was like, okay, so if you were so interested, if your purview did include looking at a presidential candidate or people associated with their campaign, perhaps making contact with Russians, then why was it not of interest when you had Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson, who was functionally, because of the way he was paid, a DNC operative?
Exactly.
Why were you not interested in his contact with the Russians, specifically Natasha Vedelnitskaya?
And that was not in my purview.
Yeah.
Well, Marianne Williamson, she came out and, she's got the solution to all of this. She says
crystals and oil.
A politics of love is not a path to passivity or weakness. It's a path of radical truth-telling, refusal to look away from unnecessary suffering, and a courageous rejection of criminal, economic, and social injustice.
Well, that radical truth-telling, we can't be having that.
But she says only big truth will have the power to defeat big lies.
Wow. She will meet you on the field, and love will win. The thing about it is, as much as we make fun of her and stuff like that, don't you just love her because she's there and she adds something to the Democratic debate?
I'm trying to find the picture of her sticking the flowers in the barrel of the soldiers at Kent State or wherever that was.
Man.
Well, it never occurred to me that we were going to have a presidential contender that might use "Love Will Keep Us Together" as their campaign theme song.
You keep talking. We keep talking her up. She's looking better to me all the time.
Yeah.
I like the Captain Tennille.
There you go.
Of course, again, and don't say anything. That's how old I am. All right.
I've heard of this Captain and Tennille.
Yeah.
Were they on the Ark?
No. They were on television at one point. They had their own variety show.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the Captain and Tony Tennille.
And a very successful radio career, including Muskrat Love.
Yes.
If you must know.
I actually do know who they are.
And if you haven't heard
pulling
Muskrat Love, then you're probably better off. But
I think Muskrat Love was written by a Texas native.
Maxine, it was Marianne Williamson, I think, wrote Muskrat.
No, Willis Allen Ramsey.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
he went to high school with my husband.
All right, cool. All right, back to the where did we get off of Captain and Tennille all of a sudden? Let's go back to the hearing yesterday. John Ratcliffe of Texas, he eviscerated Robert Mueller yesterday, and he was like the second Republican to get a shot at him. And he had all the meat was still there on the bone, and he went for it.
You wrote 180 pages. 180 pages about decisions that weren't reached, about potential crimes that weren't charged or decided. And respectfully, by doing that, you managed to violate every principle and the most sacred of traditions about prosecutors not offering extra prosecutorial analysis about potential crimes that aren't charged. So Americans need to know this as they listen to the Democrats and socialists on the other side of the aisle, as they do dramatic readings from this report, that volume 2 of this report was not authorized.
And it should have been authorized, quite frankly, because it was nothing but a tabloid. I mean, if you wanted to read, supposed things, you might as well go by the National Enquirer or whatever that's available right there as you're driving through the checkout lane.
So these hearings are set up kind of like a trial in a sense. I mean, they're set up like a courtroom type thing where you've got witnesses and testimony and all that kind of stuff. Can you imagine at the end of like the Jeffrey Dahmer trial where or just pick a trial and the jury comes back and goes, okay, here's what we didn't find. Okay, well, is he guilty or not? Well, we're not going to talk about that, but, we can't totally exonerate him.
Yeah, we're not going to.
And he was chastising Mueller for using a legal standard that basically discards the presumption of innocence. And there's one more piece of that we can talk about when we come back, that Ratcliffe really hit it home run.
Oh, he did. He was 866-895-6442 if you'd like to talk about it. Tomorrow, hopefully we're Mueller free tomorrow, but we got to do this.
sell your house? Most agents will put a sign in the ground, post it, and pray. My name is Ryan Smith of the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team and Keller Williams Realty. My business is based on getting top dollar for my clients. I believe in that so much that I will put my money where my mouth is. I will sell your house in 90 days or less, guaranteed, or I'll sell it for free. I've developed an exclusive marketing system proven to get you up to 18% more money. If you want to know how I do it, I'll send you a copy of my marketing plan for free. 254-213-5335. Using my system, I recently sold a house for Brandon and Cassidy in Temple's Windham Hill subdivision at the top of the market. My system gets full price offers, multiple offers, and bidding wars. That means you make the most money. Don't take chances with your equity. No obligation, no commitments. You're not happy? I'll let you out of the program. There's literally no reason not to call. 254-213-5335. That's 254-213-5335. We are the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team. Call us today and start packing tomorrow.
At Logic Nation, our power is in our callers. In fact, Pat's on the phone. Pat, welcome to Logic Nation. What's on your mind today?
I get that you're the Logic Nation, but what about love, peace, and harmony, man? Why don't you ever talk about these issues?
We try to keep our listeners informed about local issues that matter to them, both locally here in the great state of Texas and in our nation.
You talk an awful lot about freedom and constitutional rights, but what about my right to express my emotions like love, peace, and harmony? What about my right to not be offended by what you're saying?
Well, Pat, you've gotten off the Logic train, and now you're boarding the Emotional Express. That's a high-speed rail to nowhere. Here at Logic Nation, irrational emotional instability has no place in logical discussion.
But I need constant reassurance that my emotional stability will be coddled and my opinions force-fed to me.
Listen to Logic Nation Monday through Friday from 8 to 11 a.m., right before Rush, right here on KTEM, where logic is never derailed by emotion.
Has your perfect candidate been eliminated from a political race? Have your values and conceits been put upon and bruised? Well, don't fret over hashtag dumps or I'll never whatevers. It's time for you to try Voter Agra. Yes, Voter Agra takes your deep depression from your candidate losing and makes your vote rise like a phoenix from the ashes of defeat. Voter Agra makes you turn down griping and moaning and lets you enjoy the old-time thrill of voting. So lose your sullenness and get your voter suddenness back with huge results. Voter Agra. Isn't it time you tried Voter Agra and got back into the political game again? Voter Agra. Available now at IHateAllCandidates.com and I'm right and everyone else is wrong.com. Voter Agra. Welcome back into Logic Nation.
So we got one more Ratliff thing before we
go
leave
ahead.
that. He was chastising Mueller regarding that he was just basically discarding the presumption of innocence. And he goes on to the point, and he said, respectfully, Director, it was not the special counsel's job to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or to exonerate him because the bedrock principle of our justice system is a presumption of innocence. It exists for everyone. Everyone is entitled to it, including sitting presidents. And because there is a presumption of innocence, prosecutors never, ever need to conclusively determine it.
Right.
And he went on and he said, I agree with the chairman this morning when he said that Donald Trump is not above the law. He's not, but he damn sure shouldn't be below the law, which is where Volume 2 of this report puts him.
And at that point is where he got gavelled out by.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
yes, and it should have been
Wild
should have been
applause, exactly.
Yeah, well, we can't have, there's no cheering in the press box. There's no cheering in the House of Representatives, unless, of course, they pass an abortion bill or something like that, and then they, or $15 minimum wage, and then they all cheer because they've done something great. MSNBC, even MSNBC analyst Jeremy Bash, he said that Mueller sucked the life out of the report yesterday. That's a quote.
This is one of those things where everyone was talking about how the movie was going to be better than the book.
Wrong.
And it turns out that the book was probably better than the movie. And as a matter of fact, the movie ruined the book.
Yeah. Well, I got news.
And the casting really was bad.
I got news for anybody that says that the movie will be better than the book. You're wrong. That's just if you've read the book and then you go see the movie. Sometimes the movies match up pretty good, but it's still not the book.
Yep.
The book's better, always. Trust me. But if you don't like reading, then go watch a movie, I guess. But Doug Collins asked Robert Mueller yesterday if the president was involved in election interference.
Is it true the evidence gathered during your investigation did not establish that the president was involved in the underlying crime related to Russian election interference as stated in Volume 1, page 7?
We found insufficient evidence of the president's culpability.
So that would be a yes.
Without, pardon?
That would be a yes.
Yes.
That's all you had to do is say yes. But insufficient culpability, what does that mean? I mean, I know what it means, but still, why do you go there? It's just word games. This is all the whole thing was. And the whole report's word game. If you've read any of the report, even Volume 2, is filled up with so much junk. And it's not very easy to read.
Well, the great quotes that came out of that were these clarifications that, did you find evidence that he colluded? No. Did you find evidence that he obstructed? No. I mean, of course, then you've got the other side that will read something, and depending on how they read it, ask him the question, and it sounds as if he's saying the exact opposite.
Right.
Because the way they say it is, did you find that he didn't find
they
obstruction?
asked the negative version.
The negative version.
A lot of double negative.
And I think that there were many times when Mueller wasn't following.
Yeah. I don't think...
and that that he answered probably inaccurately on some of that stuff, but some of it was just his inability to follow the Senate structure and get the nature of what the question was.
And besides that, I don't think he's ever read the report.
I don't think
so. I mean, really. Representative Louis Gohmert from the great state of Texas blasted Robert Mueller yesterday for hiring a bunch of people that do not like the president, like Peter Strzok, during the committee meeting yesterday morning. So most prosecutors want to make sure there's no appearance of impropriety. But in your case, you hired a bunch of people. They did not like the president, Gohmert said. And he said, when did you find out about Peter Strzok's animus toward the president? In the summer of 2017, Mueller said. You didn't know before he was hired for your team? Know what? And that I'm quoting the transcript here. Peter Strzok hated Trump. You didn't know that before he was made part of your team? Mueller contended he was not aware of that at Strzok, so initial hiring.
But then he never would. Gohmert kept trying to get him to talk about bias, and he kept saying you weren't aware of his biases. And then he finally asked him, "Well, why did you fire him?" And he said, "Well, I didn't fire him. We just moved him." And why did you do that? Because of the texts.
Yeah.
Well, the texts were what. The problem with the text was that they showed his bias. And it was the reasonable question to ask, how is this bias not influencing his performance?
Exactly. Everybody on that team had a bias against Trump. I mean,
right. And I can understand when you're doing normal investigations that who cares what the political bias is of your team. But when you are specifically engaged in an investigation that is politically motivated, whether that's nefariously or not, when you've got a political investigation the way this investigation was, you better darn sure be making sure that the people on your team aren't rabid Trump supporters or rabid Trump opposers. And he didn't even do that. He didn't do his own due diligence on this investigation.
He was the figurehead.
Yeah.
The whole thing. When we come back, we'll tell you about the self-professed ass-kicking motorcycle riding Texas Democrat.
Work zones on Texas highways.
I drive all over the state, and work zones are everywhere. They really slow me down.
Oh, they make me crazy. I have to drop my speed from 65 to 55 to 45. Can't they just finish already?
I depend on my cruise control, but every time I come into a work zone, I've got to turn it off and on and off and back on again. It's frustrating.
And those frustrations are understandable. But if people thought about it realistically, they might say things like this.
I'm slowing down and being extra careful because I don't want to cause a crash or get hurt or kill somebody.
Oh, sure, it's a pain right now, but when they're finished, we're going to have the best roads in the country.
Work zone ahead. Fines double. I'm slowing down.
Last year, more than 15,000 crashes occurred in Texas work zones and more than 100 people lost their lives. So when you enter a work zone, slow down, pay extra attention, and stay away from that cell phone. Be safe. Drive smart. This message brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
In the forest near the side of the road.
No need for alarm, sir. The forest is where bears live.
But this was no ordinary bear.
No ordinary bear?
Yeah, 1 second I'm having a smoke taking in the view. Next thing I know, I am face to face with Smokey Bear.
Let me guess, Smokey had a tip for you.
He did. He must have seen me toss my cigarette on the ground. He told me never to do that because it only takes one spark to start a wildfire.
He's a smart bear. Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
That's what Smokey said. I had no idea.
That's why Smokey's famous, and you're not.
Good point.
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference, because 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Psst. Yeah, you. It's me, your heart. Listen to me. We've got to talk. High blood pressure is serious, and yours? Whoa. What happened to us? We used to be so much more active. But lately, you've been ignoring me. I know you think I'm just going to keep ticking away forever, but you're wrong. You can do so much more to control your high blood pressure. Doing the minimum isn't doing enough. I'm under a lot of pressure and can quit whenever I want. Bet you didn't know that. But I like my job. Just treat me better. Check on me. Give me something green to nibble on every once in a while. And maybe we can do some exercise on occasion. Let's get to it. After all, we're in this together.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Logic Nation's final segment for today. In a key Senate race, Democrats buck leftward tilt on issues. This is from Real Clear Politics. Paul Weber wrote this. Talking about MJ Hagar. Right around here, the leading U.S. Senate challenger in Texas rides a Harley Davidson and calls herself an ass-kicking, motorcycle-riding Texas Democrat.
Is she a Cossack or a Bandito?
I don't know. Well, that's fine. Maybe, I don't know. She's not a Democrat who promotes Medicare for all. She does not like the idea of decriminalizing border crossings. Hagar says it's tying the hands of law enforcement. So there's two things in her favor.
She's already better than Beto.
Yeah. Of course, Texas party leaders say they're pretty confident in Air Force veteran MJ Hagar taking on Republican incumbent John Cornyn. Meanwhile, though, she's also already got 3 in the primary field, and some people are actually wanting to get some more in. So it's going to be, that's going to be a mess for the Senate in the Democratic primary here in Texas. Hagar is 43 years old. She makes it clear she plans to run a different campaign. She's a Purple Heart recipient who did 3 tours in Afghanistan. And I tell you what, her people handle her great. I mean, she came close to John Carter in the race for representative last time. And they do smooth commercials. I got to give them credit.
But I'll tell you what, though, her entire platform was on getting shot down in a helicopter. And I'm sorry, but that's not a platform. I think if she would have stuck to other stuff and her policies, really, Beto is the only reason she came close. That Beto effect, and Beto's not around anymore.
That's true.
I mean, he's around, but nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, he's not running in Texas anymore.
And Trump's on the ticket, so getting shot down isn't exactly an achievement. And I say that as a soldier.
Well, all I can say is that Cornyn has not had any formidable competition in many, many, many years.
That's true.
And I do hope that he understands that whoever he is up against, he needs to be out there and he needs to be aggressively campaigning.
Well, he's on Facebook all the time now, telling about how great he is and what he's doing. But
we're not as red as we were, so he is not a slam dunk.
Like I say, he's the Republican. So yeah, I guess. I mean, it really, I wish we had a firebrand of Republican that would primary him, but we're not going to get that. Hagar rejects party labels, it says here in Real Clear Politics. She says she doesn't let people push me into saying things I don't believe. I think the voters saw that and they saw authenticity. Okay. So, again, another, as I've said this before, and I'll keep on saying it, another Democrat who failed at a lower level has moved up the next notch.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how it works for her. The United States confirmed an announcement by South Korea that North Korea had fired a projectile saying it was short range. I can confirm that it was short range, a U.S. official told the Associated Press, speaking on condition of anonymity. He did not say when the launch was carried out. The unidentified projectile was fired by the North without providing further details. So, and it splashed out in the sea, and anyway, didn't go off or anything, but they fired a missile. I guess because of China and all the other things, and Iran, they're getting all of our notice right now. So
they thought no one would notice during the Mueller hearing if they fired off a missile.
Yeah, that or Kim Jong-un saying, "Hey, look at me! Remember me?
Hey,
I'm a bad guy. Hey, look at me!
I want to collude."
Trump, come on, man. Let's see. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is required to certify compliance in an FTC settlement. Apparently, Facebook got hit with $5 billion, a record-setting fine to Facebook because the Federal Trade Commission announced that Facebook was breaking the laws of privacy. Okay, good. Not that Zuckerberg he can afford it, but still. Jeffrey Epstein has been found semi-conscious in jail after a possible attack. Jeffrey Epstein, the wealthy investor facing charges of sex trafficking involving dozens of underage girls, may have either attempted to commit suicide or was assaulted in jail, according to evening reports from NBC New York. And, of course, everybody's jumped on that now. What are the odds that he hired somebody to beat him up so that he could get back into the system? You know, I think he's another one like Kim Jong-un. Hey, remember me?
Don't forget me.
Don't forget me. I'm rotting in jail. And I know things on you, Bill Clinton.
That's right.
Either that or maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it was Clinton's people that were, okay. Yeah, if we find out that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in prison with 3 gunshot wounds to the back of his head.
Yeah.
And
While handcuffed.
Yeah. Puerto Rico Governor, what's his name? Ricardo Rossello, said he will resign August 2nd after nearly 2 weeks of furious protests. A crowd of demonstrators outside the governor's mansion started singing and dancing. They weren't protesting after he announced that they'll be shed of him come August. All right, have yourself a great day. Appreciate Luann dropping by. Appreciate all of y'all for listening. See you tomorrow. God bless America. God bless President Trump.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had